All right, hey guys. I was actually going to do a write-up about my experience at PAX South with True Dungeon, the immersive dungeon adventure thing that they had there. But I thought, what better way to explain it than to actually just talk, right? So I talked about it a bit on the radio show Sunday night, um, but that's a live broadcast. It is an archive, so I thought I'd do something uh, for those guys or about their setup. On a video format so that it could be kept. So, firstly, let me say that apparently True Dungeon's been around for a while. I didn't hear about it until a few weeks ago when I was actually buying my tickets for PAX South to get ready to go down there. And when I saw it pop up, I was like, dude, I want to do that, right? So went down there, and then that Friday night when I got to the hotel, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get in there and get my ticket, and there was literally one left for all of the. Um, I think they had been sold out, and somebody gave up their ticket or got a refund or whatever because they couldn't make it. For all of the sessions that they had, there was only one ticket left, and I snagged it. So I was in a room with 9 people I didn't know. But so I did the free 30-minute demo as well as the full 2 hour adventure, right? So, but it was a really fun experience. So I don't anyone who knows me knows that I'm a Dungeons and Dragons player from way back when I was like 12 years old all the way to now when I'm decidedly older. But I so I love D&D and I love role playing. I've tried my hand at LARPs before back in the day and really didn't dig it. There was a lot of rock paper scissors instead of dice rolling. It was kind of goofy. But this was really kind of fun. Well, actually, very fun. But this was really, really fun. I was kind of surprised. I was wondering what the role play level was going to be like. I mean, mostly it's about the feel, the ambiance. You're walking through rooms of a dungeon, quote unquote, right? So it's kind of like a mix of escape room, D&D, and some LARP elements all rolled into one. Um, so when you first get your ticket, you get a little bag. You get a bag like this, and it's full of magic items. You get like 10 of them, right? And if you do the demo, you get a free one, right? That you can also add, and you can keep these, and then you can carry these from adventure to adventure, right? And every time you get a ticket, you get a bag more, and you can actually buy those bags there from them at the con or at whatever event you're at. But so they've got some of them are weapons, some of them are ammunition, some of them are single-use items like scrolls. And I was wondering how all that worked, right? So when you first walk in, you get into this room. It's kind of the prep room, right? And everyone, you got these cards laid out, and I don't know if I was supposed to keep this, but it was around my neck when I left because I played a wizard in my adventure. So you got all these class cards that have your stats. They tell you how much HP you have, what your special abilities are, and all that stuff. And it's got some more flavor text and information on the back. I chose wizard, obviously. But they've got 10 of those laid out for all of the various classes, and everyone picks one, right? And then you look at your items, and then there's a little outfitting sheet on the bottom there. So you then outfit your character with the items you have. But cool thing is you can also like trade and borrow from the other players to everybody maximize themselves as best they can for this particular adventure, this particular go round. So then the coach will come in and come around, and he'll basically essentially write a quick line for everyone's character sheet and what their bonuses are, what their AC would be, what their to hit bonuses, to damage bonuses, and things like that would be based on what they've equipped, right? And then beyond things that you need to use in the game, you can pack the rest of your stuff up, put it back in the bag. You don't need to take it with you. Then after that, you walk into a training room. In the training room, every class gets their special stuff. All the physical classes, they have a little simulation of how their combat works, which is kind of cool actually. So you don't actually have to hit anything. There's no padded weapons, but in a room where there's combat, you'll usually have the monster itself. Sometimes animatronic, sometimes an actor, sometimes it's a prop of some sort, and then in front of it there'll be a shuffleboard table, for lack of a better term, with a silhouette of the monster, and in the sections of the silhouette will be various die rolls, up to 20, and what you'll do is you'll take your weapon. Now I played a wizard, so I don't have any like hellaciously physical weapons, but like my shillelagh, right? You put that in the little puck with your class name on it, and you shuffleboard it down, and where on the silhouette you land is what you rolled. And then as all of the fighting classes are doing that, they can actually knock each other's pucks around to different results, etc. Around the edge, the various levels of damage that your weapon can do, and there'll be a point on the monster so that whatever. So let's say you rolled. I mean, you threw it down, and then at the end, there's a DM in every room, and who has described the scene, etc. Done what a DM does, right? And he's got your party sheet for that room. So he looks at your sheet. He looks at what all the to hit bonuses and stuff are, just like a regular DM would. He removes all the misses, all those that didn't roll well enough to actually hit the AC of the creature. And then wherever these things have landed, because the pucks are magnetic, so wherever these things have landed, whatever damage value is facing that one point on the creature, that's the damage value that gets recorded, plus, obviously any damage bonuses you have. And that's how physical creatures work. And then when it's the monster's turn, the DM will pick a player, look at their AC, roll a d20, just like a regular DM would, and if the monster hits him, he deals damage. If the monster has multi-attack, he hits twice or three, whatever that monster does, right? So then spellcasting classes have to memorize things. So, like I played a wizard, I had to memorize a chart of the planes of existence, which, funny enough, I still remember. But wizards have to do that. Druids have to memorize literally silhouettes of leaves, different leaves of different trees. There are different prayer beads with different symbols for clerics that they have to memorize. Even a bard has a chart for their bardic lore. There's a big chart of symbols that you memorize. And so when you're in the room, whether it be a puzzle room or a monster room, whichever, when you're going to cast a spell or use one of those special abilities, you'll do a check. Like for my wizard spells, when I was going to cast, say, Magic Missile, he would not only mark on my sheet here that instance of that spell was used, because it tells me how many uses of each one I have, but they have a chart without the words on it. It's just blank. And so he would point, say, what plane is that? And I would be like, oh, that's fire. And he would be like, yeah, there you go. So then, so if you pass the check and answer the quiz correctly, you get the maximum effect for that spell or that ability. And if you fail the check, you get the minimum. So like on Magic Missile, it says does 8 or 11 points of damage. So 8 if I don't pass, but 11 if I do, right? And then I also had these lenses of focus equipped, so I get +1 damage on all my spells. So that was kind of cool. There's a little cool mechanic and a little cool take on spellcasting. Rogues also have a cool thing where they have this little puzzle box, for lack of a better term, and it's almost like you have to work a little maze, work a thing around a little maze, but operation style, you can't touch the sides. So there's actually a dexterity check physically. You have to do physical things to be a rogue and to open the rogue boxes that may have clues in it, it may have extra stuff in it, whatever, that helps the party along in some of the rooms. So as you go through, some rooms will be puzzle, and some rooms will be combat. If it's a puzzle, it's kind of escape roomy in that way, because there's usually like a riddle of some sort or some kind of hint somewhere. They give you little flashlights because everything's dark. It's a dungeon. And I will say the decor was top notch. I loved it. In fact, there was this magical, the one I played, the scenario that they had at PAX South was called the Moongate Maze. So it was all very fey and druidic looking. There was a lot of, there was one tree where all of the leaves were lit. It was very cool, very mystical. So it really puts you in the feel. But some of the rooms are puzzles and some are combat. So as you go through, the DMs will walk you through whatever's happening in that room, what the party has to do. And then once the challenge begins, you have a set amount of time to complete it, whether it's combat or if it's a puzzle. If you complete it in a set amount of time, hooray, you move on. Now, obviously you may take damage during combat if it's a combat scenario, but if you fail to complete the task in the set amount of time, you still get to move on to the next room, of course, because we're moving through an adventure. But there's some penalty, and usually it's like a set amount of damage for the whole party moving on to the next room, just because you failed to complete the task in time. But so I digress from the training. So that was the rogue, but the bard's pretty cool too. And I played a bard in the demo, in the little 30-minute demo, and the bard he gets some spell. He's a jack of all trades, of course. Bards are in every game. He gets some spells. He gets some skills, like he can do bardic lore about monsters and help learn better ways to defeat them and stuff like that. But one of his bigger abilities is bard song. So basically, you go stand by the DM and start singing, dancing. I did air guitar. Some type of performance, and while you're doing it, the whole party gets a +1 to hit and damage. So just keep it up, bard man. And then the rest of the time, you just heckle and tell jokes and make fun of things because that's your role. I did that stuff as a wizard too, but anyway, so if you're into, like, if you like puzzles and you like escape rooms, or you like D&D and you don't mind putting aside maybe feeling a little silly, walking around with this thing around your neck that's got your hit point counters on the side and things, like walking around with your character sheet pinned to you, but you can put that aside and get into the feel of the place and the immersion of the story and having fun with people and playing a role. And I was fortunate enough, and when I ran through that, that a good chunk of the people that were with me were experienced players. Some were actually volunteers that DM some of these rooms and play some of these roles, NPCs sometimes. So they were way into the characters, and it helped guide me. Made me feel comfortable role playing right along with them. So it was a lot of fun. If you like role playing, if you like just off the cuff banter and being in character, I recommend finding a True Dungeon event and delving into it. So yeah, that's my review of True Dungeon, and I will be definitely looking for another chance to use my items. And at the end you get an XP card. So if you make it through, right, and you don't die, at the end you get an XP card that you can use to advance an online character. So I will be doing that as well, and you get to draw from this treasure box. Again, all these are magnetic, right? So they have this little closed box. It's got a little wand with a magnet at the end. You stick it down in, and you shuffle it around, and then you pull one out, and they'll tell you based on how you went through. You may get to pick 1 to 3 or 4 items out of that thing, right? So I got to pick 3, and like I now have a +1 Fey blowgun flute, which means I can fire with it and do bard singing. So I probably will be playing a bard again in my next run, but we'll see. So anyway, I definitely recommend it. Had a lot of fun. It was a total blast, and the people I went through with were just amazing. So yeah, definitely give it a shot. It's a fun time. Have a good one. Thanks.